All right, everyone, we start off today with what is inarguably the big news, which is that the Democrats have literally just lost a U.S. House member. This is more than just defecting on an impeachment vote, saying, well, Trump may have done wrong, maybe we could have censored him, but you're planning to impeach and I can't support that. That would be bad enough, and it looks like there are probably going to be some Democrats that do that. This involves a New Jersey centrist Democrat. Keep in mind, New Jersey tends to be a blue area, but there are outlying districts that are more swing state or even slightly red down on the south end of the state. Here you've got a Democrat in the U.S. House defecting, planning to literally change parties to be a GOP or in a district where that's defensible, where potentially he's taking a look at the situation and saying, look, for my career, he's acting in self-interest politically. I can't go along with the impeachment vote and get reelected. I want to get reelected, but I also probably would lose the backing of the DNC anyway. You're between a rock and a hard place. What do? Oh, I'll just switch parties. I'm in a district that probably will vote for me again anyway. I'll be the incumbent. I'll just have a different letter after my name. I wouldn't be surprised if there was an additional Democrat or two who would at least consider this. What I would say is it's unlikely that any more Democrats will outright defect from the Democratic Party. It's more likely that when the impeachment vote comes up, you won't have unanimity in that vote. You'll have a couple of Democrats probably not show up, so abstain from the vote. They'll vote present. That can happen. Or they'll vote no. The idea that they're going to get any of the Republicans, I think, to vote yes is not going to happen. Amash plans to vote yes, but Amash literally had defected from the GOP, but he defected to being an independent. He's capable of doing that. He has the name recognition. I guess Jeff Van Drew doesn't, so he's like, well, I need a party to protect me, so it's going to have to be the other ones, the GOP. This is a bellwether of things to come, though. You would think if the Democrats truly were aligned properly and they were a cohesive, very, very ironclad, strong movement, if there was no schismatic principle within the party, why would they be having this problem? You had a meeting of some Democrats just earlier this week that were talking about the possibility of begging Pelosi not to impeach and go ahead with censoring instead, but of course that has been overruled. They're not going to be doing that. It will be an impeachment vote. I expect the impeachment vote will probably prevail. The problem is that they'll be short a Democrat in the House. They've just lost a House member. They'll probably have a few other people vote against or present. It's not going to look good for them. When it goes to the Senate, the idea that the Senate is going to convict Donald Trump is plainly wrong. McConnell will probably procedurally rush things. Trump has been leaning on him to take a stand and drag it out. The problem is that because of the way in which the Senate trial would actually go, it's more procedurally standardized than in the House. Like in the House, the Democrats can write their own rules and go ahead with it, just crucify Trump without having any real evidence. In the Senate, there's a little more decorum because the Senate is supposed to be basically the equivalent of the House of Lords. This is where the more intelligent, more astute, more solemn people are. The House of the Commons, it's basically the doppelganger. Anyway, the U.S. House, the House of Representatives, is closer to the people. It's more common folk that are there. This is where you got the more direct representation, and the Senate was supposed to be kind of separated from that to be a stopgap on popular opinion. Literally, the very fact that we have a bicameral legislator in the United States is literally to stop direct democracy from being there, because direct democracy is such a threat to a civilized society, to Western civilization, and to the idea of a republic. Also, why we have an electoral college. Also, why we have a separation of powers in the first place. Also, why we have a judiciary branch able to bullseye a legislature action, even if it's popular. I would say this. Impeachment probably goes ahead at this point. This is only one Democrat. This isn't, the 17 or something that would need to defect. It now looks like they're not going to have that many people vote no, but they probably will have a few, and that's not going to look good for them. And then it's DOA in the Senate. The Senate trial, I expect, will be short and sweet and lead to an acquittal of Donald Trump on the two charges, which are obstruction of Congress, which is a ludicrous charge to begin with, and abuse of power, which you can't legitimately, logically establish that Trump abused his power in this case anyway, with regards to Ukraine or anything else. It simply doesn't make any sense. because the end result was that the other foreign leader who supposedly was being abused agrees he wasn't abused. You've got no real legitimate plaintiff in this case. In a legal trial, it'd be very interesting if this were a criminal proceeding or a civil proceeding in an actual court, as opposed to something that had been overseen by a largely partisan House body. And that's what it is. The other thing that the Democrats wanted to do in these proceedings is prove that they weren't being partisan. But it just came off that way because of the proceeding structure themselves. The fact that the Democrats had lopsided power made it look partisan, and it is. The fact that the charges don't really appear to coincide with reality makes it look partisan. Jeff Van Drew said enough is enough. I'm just going to become a Republican. And this is hilarious. I guess before he had been just a vocal proponent of not impeaching, saying, well, there's nothing here to impeach by. If I'm a Democrat that's in a district that Trump won by double digits, I probably don't want to impeach him. Even if I don't like the dude, I'm like, oh yeah, it'd be wonderful to have a Democrat president, but I don't want to fall on my sword. To benefit who? Nancy Pelosi, who obviously didn't even take into consideration these several dozen Democrats that are in red districts that represent a moderate sort of Democrat within America that still does, by large margins, exist. It's a significant number of people in the House. This isn't like, oh, two people, two holdouts that represent the old brand of blue dog Democrats that we keep trying to get rid of, but they're old and they represent the past and their constituents keep voting for them time and time again, says Pelosi. It's not like that. It's a lot of people. It's a considerable proportion of the House Democrats. Not a majority, but it's a double-digit proportion of them. It's enough people to sink impeachment if they were organized. If I were one of them, I would be begging my colleagues to vote against. I would say, let's sink the impeachment proceedings so that it never goes to the Senate, so that we can cut the head off the snake, tally our losses, let the DNC take fault for it. Let the DNC, the buck stops with Pelosi, let them suffer, let them take the disadvantage politically. We can be above that and at least maintain a Democrat majority in the House, because Trump's probably going to win re-election. That's really what the Democrats have done, by the way. They've pissed away, I think, their chance at maintaining a House majority, so that when Trump is almost inevitably reelected because of their own stupidity, they won't be able to stop his agenda for at least 2 years. Now, of course, presidents have a very bad track record in their first 2 years of any given term of doing anything particularly. They usually start getting serious in the second half of a term when they tend to lose their majority, as Trump did. Usually it stymies them. Obama did this. Obama had carte blanche for the first couple of years. He had people where at his beck and call, nobody dared to tell him no because they were afraid of being called racist by more than half of the U.S. public. And he still didn't accomplish anything. Had to wait until later. That's about all. Peace out.